You know what the hardest thing in the world is? It's not poverty, it's not heartbreak, it's hearing your own child, the one you raised with trembling hands and sleepless nights, look you in the eye and say, Mom didn't embarrass me. Those 5 words tore through me like glass. I stood there smiling on the outside, breaking on the inside, because when your child says that they aren't just ashamed of your clothes or your manners, they're ashamed of you, and that fits a wound only silence can bleed. But listen to me, life doesn't stay silent forever. Sometimes it waits, it watches, and then one day it delivers justice in the most unexpected way. So before I tell you what happened next, hit that like button. If you've ever been disrespected by someone you love, subscribe if you believe that no pride, no money, no status is worth a mother's heart. Because what I am about to tell you will prove that karma never forgets. It started with a phone. Callie was folding laundry when my old cracked phone buzzed. It was Eliza, my daughter. My heart jumped. I thought maybe she missed me, but her voice was different. Too careful, too formal. Mom, we're having a dinner tomorrow, me in-laws. My husband's boss, a few guests. You can come too, just please dress properly. Okay, and maybe don't talk too much about old things. People there are a little refined. I froze for a second. Old things, I asked softly. She laughed nervously. Childhood stories, your jokes, stuff like that. Just keep it simple. Okay. When the call ended, I stared at the wall for a long time. For the first time in my life, I realized she wasn't inviting me because she wanted me there. She was inviting me because she didn't know how to say no. That night, cold in sleep, I kept thinking of the little girl who once cried if I was even 10 minutes late to pick her up from school. The same girl who used to say, Mom, when I grow up, I'll buy you a palace. And now that same child was ashamed to sit beside me. I wore my best blue dress, the same one she said made me look graceful years ago. I took the bus holding a small gift, a hand-embroidered shawl ID made for her. When I reached the house, it looked like a movie set. Bright lights, cars parked outside, the sound of glasses clinking inside. She opened the door. Her smile flickered when she saw me. Mom, she whispered under her breath. You could have worn something else. I smiled. This is my best, dear. Inside the house smelled of perfume and pride. Hair-in-laws greeted me politely, but their eyes were distant. I sat quietly listening to the small talk, trying not to stand out. Then one of the guests asked Eliza, were you always this confident growing up? I smiled proudly and said, oh yes, she once read the dictionary cover to win her school competition. Mom, she cut me off, her voice sharp. Please, not now. The table went silent. My hands froze on my plate. Everyone looked down awkwardly. I smiled through the painting. Sorry, I whispered. And that's when I realized I wasn't part of her world anymore. I was just a reminder of where she came from and what she wanted to forget. When dinner ended, no one offered to drop me home. I walked to the bus stop, holding that shawl tight against my chest, the same shawl she never opened. After that night, things changed. Her calls stopped, her messages became shorter, and soon they stopped altogether. IDC her on social media, vacations, parties, designer clothes. I wasn't in any of those pictures, but I didn't say a word because mothers didn't fight for space. They just shrink their world quietly to make room for their child's. Months later, I heard whispers her husband's business had collapsed, the house gone, the cars gone, even the friends gone. And I remember thinking, life doesn't need your revenge. It knows when to return the dead. It was raining heavily that night. The electricity had gone out. I was sewing under candlelight when I heard a faint knock. When I opened the door, there she was, Eliza, her eyes swollen, her clothes drenched, her hands trembling. Mom, she whispered, can I stay here for a few days? I looked at her, the same child who once told me not to embarrass her, and now she stood at my door, humbled, broken, lost. I didn't say a word. I just moved aside and said softly, come home, child. She stepped in, looking around at the same small house She once called too old now. It looked like safety, like forgiveness. I brought her warm soup and wrapped her in a blanket. She took one spoonful and began to cry. Mom, she said, I'm sorry. I forgot who I was. I forgot who you are. I thought I was protecting myself, but all I did was lose you. I smiled, brushed her hair back, and said, eat, sweetheart. You must be tired. We'll talk later. Because that's what mothers do. We comfort before we correct. We heal before we remind. The next morning I woke up early. The rain had stopped. I found her still sleeping on the couch. The old blanket wrapped around her, the same one from her childhood. Andy smiled because the very home she once felt embarrassed of was now her only shelter. She woke up quietly, eyes still swollen from tears. Mom, she said, softly, don't deserve your kindness. I smiled and replied, you didn't have to earn a mother's love, dear. You just have to come home. Then I looked out the window and whispered, you told me not to embarrass you, but in the end, shame found you on its own and peace found me. That day I learned something powerful. Forgiveness isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Silence isn't surrender, it's strength. And karma doesn't always shout, sometimes it just whispers. Now they know. So if you're watching this and someone made you feel small, don't beg for respect and fight for validation. Just keep living with grace, because life always brings people back to the lessons they refuse to learn. Comment, respect begins at home. Like this video if you believe every mother deserves dignity. Subscribe, because next time I'll tell you how silence became my loudest revenge and how peace became my final victory.